Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Round 22 preview. Today, I am not joined by anyone, it's just myself, Victor, here today, but we are still going to be in for a fun episode here today. Remember to subscribe and like the video before you watch, and make sure you leave a comment to ask your questions for the week. So, Round 21 was a bit of an interesting week, to say the least. The clean sheet struggle, the late goals when you're winning comfortably, and it was a complete struggle for my co-host Charlie, who's not here today, but he did let me see how his team is doing. I had to make a couple adjustments to his team. He ended up with 71 points, which isn't great, mainly because he said he wanted to captain Quintero, so I left Quintero captained for him. Quintero didn't do well. Minnesota, who everyone thought was going to walk all over Vancouver, couldn't get the goal that they were looking for to get the 3 points. But my number one thing was Maxi Morales getting injured, getting 1 point. He was very close to getting 4 or 5 at the minimum. He ended up with a 1. That really let down everyone's team, I would think, this week. But, yeah, also Charlie did not have Carlos Vela. He didn't want Carlos Vela. You gotta have Carlos Vela in 2019, although this week might be an exception. Yeah, San Jose, if you didn't have Vaco, it was kind of a rough one. Vaco did well. Erickson didn't do as well. Actually, he did do as well. He had 9 points as well, but in terms of the game, he just didn't have a great performance, in my opinion. Pozuelo did play. He got 6 points, which I'm sure people are expecting a lot more of. But yeah, NYCFC giving up that late clean sheet was not helpful in the slightest. Same with San Jose. They could have kept a clean sheet. I was just gonna have a great week, but as you can see here, I ended up with 89, 18 more points than Charlie this week. Robles, who would have thought Columbus was going to win 3-2 at Red Bull Arena? I know I didn't think so. I had Tarek, 2 points, not great. I did make quite a bold move. I wasn't happy with the 4 from Andrew Farrell after they gave up a ridiculous goal when they were up 4-0. It costed the clean sheet. So I put in Nick Lima, and I had Erickson. I changed him to Vaco to afford Lima. Lima got an assist, and I was like, no one's going to have Nick Lima. Not many people did have Nick Lima. Let's see, in fact. 1.74% had Nick Lima. I just thought that he would be able to keep the clean sheet, and, they weren't able to. Just like NYCFC and the Revs were not able to when they were winning comfortably, which is quite unfortunate. But I did have Chase Gasper get 9 points. I captained Heel. I probably should have captained Vela in hindsight. What a game that was, by the way. LAFC versus Atlanta United. That was a fantastic game. Vaco doing Vaco things. Bo doing Bo things, which is scoring goals. Altidore scoring goals. He doesn't do anything else other than score goals, unfortunately. And my switcheroos were a mess this week. Oh, I'm sure, along with everybody else. Yeah, if you look at the dream team here, I can't say many people had Portland players other than Valeri, maybe. In the dream team, like, the only person you really could expect to have was Vela, which is crazy because the new Montreal signing, Lapalainen, had 2 goals in a rout over Philadelphia. Portland winning 4-0, and Paredes scoring twice. But one guy to keep an eye on is Pedro Santos. He has been the only guy, and even more than Zardes, the only guy to perform for Columbus this season. Other than that, Steve Clark made a couple of amazing saves. But let's get into round 22. My team. This is a tough week. I say this every week, but this is an extremely tough week. There are not a lot of favorable matchups. And as you can see just off my bench, I'm going bold. Again, this might be a shorter episode, only one person's team to go over. I'm gonna have to wait to hear from Charlie to see if he wants me to do his team this week, which I believe I have to. So, as of right now, as I already find a mistake that I forgot to change, my goalkeeper is Spencer Ritchie, which is a very interesting one considering how bad Cincinnati have been this season. But you gotta start somewhere, Cincinnati, and I feel like this is the somewhere to start. And if he doesn't do well, as you can see, I have 3.5 million extra, so I could afford a 7.5 mil goalkeeper. If Richie doesn't manage to keep a clean sheet, I'm probably going to go with Bill Hamid. I might be willing to change it to Brad Goosen by time lineups come out for that Atlanta game, but LA Galaxy, I've been saying this, they are not a good team. They just happen to have LAFC's number, which is different. So I have Richie in goal right now in a keeper route. I have Kiki Struna against Chicago at home. Chicago have been struggling as well. Drew 0-0 at home with DC. That's about all I have to say about that. I don't know if I'm going to start Struna. I might just put Jensen on the field and have Struna in a switcheroo. I'm not quite sure yet. Second defender is Harold Cummings, and now maybe a month ago, you would have said this is a guaranteed clean sheet for San Jose. And San Jose have been rolling. But Columbus are as well. They're 3 unbeaten. With Zardes Santos, maybe even Argudo if you want to go there. They kind of look like a rejuvenated team, which is interesting to see. They're still far out of the playoffs. They need every point they can get, but it's gonna be tough for Columbus to get a point. As well, I have Michael Vanderwerf. That's what I'm gonna go with there. As well from Cincinnati on the bench. Home to Vancouver, who drew 0-0 at Minnesota, which is very tough to do. However, I'm still not convinced on Vancouver. Again, if Vanderwerf doesn't do anything, I can hope that Ledesma and Janssen do. As you can see, I spoiled the next pick of Robin Janssen as my next defender. Orlando did just get smacked by my Revs. I was there. It was fantastic to see. Nani was crying the whole time, and it was just a sight that I won't forget. But Janssen, 6.4 million. Not quite sure if he's going to keep a clean sheet. Paxton Pomykal is back for Dallas, but Dallas, although they've been keeping a lot of clean sheets, they have been struggling to score. And now I will move on to the midfielders that I have, and I have Magnus Eriksson and Vako. Do I think both of them are going to do well? No. Do I think I'm going to have both of them by Saturday? Probably not. But as of right now, I have Eriksson and Vako. These guys, San Jose's midfielders, Espinosa, Eriksson, and Vako in particular, have been on fire. And I have to say, I think Vako for sure is getting a price rise. Eriksson, not so much, maybe, because he's already expensive as it is. And I did forget to mention my team value is now 115.6, which is very, very good. I did not expect my team to go up at all, with not the greatest week in my opinion. And Charlie's value is 115.3, so we are very close in terms of budget. Next I have Carles Heel. I am going to this game. This is the game of the year for a Revolution standpoint. All eyes should be on this game. If you're not a Revs or LAFC fan, this is a neutrals game to watch on ESPN Plus. If you want, this is going to be a great game. I can assure you this. The Revs looking to go 12 unbeaten. LAFC coming off that very exciting win against Atlanta. Heel has been doing very well, getting the penalty, which I did not expect him to take. I did think Bo was going to take the penalty, but Bo didn't take the penalty, so I found that interesting. And now my controversial pick, P.T. Martinez. I think Atlanta are not good, which I say about a lot of teams. I don't think Atlanta are their best right now. But P.T. Martinez got taken out in, I believe, the 59th minute when they were losing 4-3. He's going to be hungry, because he was not happy that he came off. and he shouldn't be, because Frank de Boer should not have taken him off in that situation at all. Um, I don't think LA Galaxy have a good defense right now. I think that at worst, PT Martinez drops off 5 this week, just from bonuses, maybe an assist. But if you look at your other midfield options, you see Ladero, and Ladero's a good option this week, I think. But without Rui Diaz, it's very hard to pick Ladero for me. Rui Diaz, I believe, has a concussion. I do not know if he'll be ready. That is the last game, I believe, of the week. It is. It's gonna be tough to pick Nico Ladero for me. I've never been a Nico Ladero fan like that. I'd rather go with Pozuelo this week, even at the Red Bulls. You saw what Columbus did. And maybe even Piatti. He's back. He's back in terms of he's playing. I don't know if he's back in terms of fantasy. He's had a very hard year in terms of injuries, but he's still Piatti. So maybe if I'm feeling bold enough, him and Lapalainen, who I may end up going with. But I don't think Colorado are struggling to the point where I need to pick Piatti or even Lapalainen, which if I were to pick Lapalainen, it would be over Ledesma, who is my next midfielder, 8.4 million. And he's been the only bright spot, in my opinion, for Cincinnati. 8.4, home to Vancouver. He did score against Toronto. He had 10 points in total, which is fantastic, especially away from home, and especially how Cincinnati have been playing. Let's just see how he has been doing this year. And when he's played, he's dropped 7. He had that lull. But in recent weeks, when he's played, he's had 10, 7, 9, 3 in there, but 9, 2, 6. Like, these are all good numbers. I think at the worst, again, he drops a 4 or 5, which in an auto route isn't terrible. But if you guys are struggling for value, I'd say go with Lapalainen. He's going up 0.5 no matter what. He'll go to 8 million. Just because he has that 14 average, 2 goals against Philadelphia, who have really struggled without Jamiro Montero. And that leads me into the forward picks this week. And there's not many clear-cut options at forward this week, I must admit. I struggled hard, and I'm still not fully convinced, but I have Joseph Martinez right now, who I'm going to do this, because the last time I didn't do this, it backfired for me. But Joseph is going to be my captain this week. It's a bold play. It's the first game week, so this could the first game of the week, it could backfire. 12.9 million, but he has been on fire, and even when he's not involved with the game at all, like he was against LAFC, he still manages to get goals. Let's just take a peek here. He has 154 total fantasy points, but these numbers are outrageous. He has scored in his last 5 games. He has 7 goals in his last 5 that he's played. And if you want to go back, he's actually scored in his last 8 games, Joseph Martinez. I have to captain him. He's at home against an LA Galaxy struggling defense. I mean, these are numbers you can't pass up on. Yeah, Joseph Martinez, I think, is a must-own this week. So I'm captaining him. I also have Rooney. Just for the bonus points aspect, he gets bonus points. I don't know how this game is going to go. I feel like this could have 0-0 all over it. Philadelphia have been struggling without Montero. DC have been struggling in general. And there's no forward options for me this week. If Rui Diaz was healthy, which he could be, I'd want him. Brian Fernandez was surprisingly shut out when Portland scored 4. I'm staying away from Zlatan this week. Altidore, maybe. And, Elise, I believe, is back this week. Elise could find his way into my team. Maybe even Memo Rodriguez in the midfield if I want to go bold. But I have 3.5 million to work with. This is just purely a draft this week. it's a tough week. It's all depends on the lineups. Now, I'm gonna give one of my tips that I've been doing is that I've been picking defenders that are cheap, like 5 million or less. We'll go with that start. For example, Chase Gasper last week. Um, you, Orlando might have some options. Cincinnati definitely have some options. At worst, you can put them on the bench. Hope for a price rise. Um, in terms of clean sheet options this week, Atlanta maybe, Orlando maybe, Cincinnati is Cincinnati, Colorado, and Houston, I think, and San Jose, who I think have the best odds. These Sunday games could go either way. This Minnesota-Portland game is going to be fantastic. Seattle Sporting Kansas City, I think, is going to be a goal fest. It's just a matter of who's going to score, who's going to start. But other than that, I think that is a wrap for this week's episode. Make sure you join us next week, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.